and welcome to this edition of Optics, the featured artist in the Griffin Gallery at Wingham. My name is Paula Tognorelli, and I'm the Executive Director and Curator of the Griffin Museum of Photography in Winchester. The Griffin Museum operates several satellite galleries in the area, including one right here in Winchester at Wingham on 32 Swanton Street. Today, our featured artist is Jaina Cipriano. Jaina is a Boston-based artist who communicates with the world through her photography. And she also works in film and installation, and I heard a little sculpture as well. Her work explores the emotional toll of religious and romantic entrapments. Welcome, Jaina. So, what I would like to do is start us off by just talking a little bit about you personally. You know, my impression of you in the short time that I've known you is that you are a person who is filled with such exuberance. Do other people tell you that?
Yeah, they do. I think it's new for me too. You know, growing up, I was not like this.
Really?
I kind of found this part of myself like in my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it had always been there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess didn't allow it to come out.
Yeah.
So,
did it surface when you found the arts, or?
I think I found the arts when I was really young, but it wasn't until I was older that I realized like it was seriously something I wanted to pursue.
Yeah.
So they kind of came in tandem together.
Yeah. Well, that's so wonderful that you were able to find that outlet as a child and now as an adult. You know, when I talk about exuberance, you show such a love for life and the experience. Yet, in reading your statements, it comes from a complicated past. Can you speak to that a little bit for us?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot recently, and I grew up in like a very strange Christian cult. I was very isolated from the world at a young age, and I took it really seriously. I think it's partially because you want the approval of the adults in your life, like as a small child, but also I've always been someone who searches for meaning and purpose, and so that was like what I was fed when I was younger. So I took it really seriously, and I got very deep into it, but the deeper I got into it, the more isolated I got, and the more questions I had. So as I kind of worked through those questions, mostly with art, with a lot of writing when I was younger, I kind of came out the other side of it. And this work is almost like a documentary, kind of going back and capturing and like recreating those moments and capturing them so that I can have something I can show the world and that I can see myself, because I don't think there was anyone there to really witness what I was going through when I was so small. So,
did your family belong to the same religious
yes,
tribes?
yeah.
Well, you certainly pulled yourself to a way of life that I think is more nurturing.
Yes.
Is that why you named your exhibition what you named it? You want to say what you've named the show?
Yeah, this show is the infinite mirage of rapture.
What is rapture?
Rapture for me is the feeling of being saved. I think when you're a child and you're growing up in a tough environment, it's really all you think about. You think about like someone coming to save you, whether there's different fantasies, you know, whether it's a different person or it's like this religious messiah coming. But then as you grow older, I think you never expect it to be yourself. So there's a lot of meaning under that title for me, of different ways to get raptured. And also the like deep undercurrent of that word is very Revelations, very like New Testament, fearful.
Interesting. And mirage, referring to the fact that it's not real, it's imagined, or it's seen but you can't touch it,
Always getting so close to it and then
Ah.
it disappearing. I think there were so many times in my life where I thought I had found something that was going to save me. You put all your eggs into one basket, whether it's like a person or a healing modality or a way of life or a religion, and then always, like, you're so close, and I feel like I would always get so close, and then it would just kind of evaporate.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, I had to look like inside myself
Right.
to actually
Right.
get out of it.
The photographs themselves, do you see them as autobiographical?
Yeah, they're, in a way, they're kind of all self-portraits, even though they're not all me,
Yeah.
which is interesting to look at, which was not intentional either. But when I look at the work, I'm like, oh, this
Yeah.
is clearly all me.
Right. But you're also available
Right.
all the time, whenever
True.
you need it. In choosing images, I like to put together a body of work that has some unity. And I'm not quite sure if I was looking and finding threads that seem to go through your body of work. Like the eye seems to be very prevalent. Or maybe it's just what I chose. But I wonder, was that intentional? To include the metaphor for eye and seeing, and maybe it's even the pronoun, the me, myself, and I. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
it was what I was drawn to. And the other thing that I was drawn to was a lot of the natural shapes, or the circular shapes, which to me always imply the feminine. I wondered if that was intentional or me just writing my own fiction.
I think it's so hard to answer a question like that, because when I'm making these photographs, I feel like I work so much just off intuition. Very rarely. I think now in my process, I'm starting to plan a little bit more when I'm creating things, just because like time and energy and finances, it's easier that way. But when I was making these bodies of work, I almost wasn't even thinking. I was just kind of like turning my mind off and going and creating. And I think it was an important part of my process for me, because it stopped me from censoring myself. Like I just wanted to work so fast that I couldn't tell myself no. So the themes really appeared afterwards for me too, which is interesting. And there is a lot of eyes. I was just talking with a friend recently about how as a child I wore eye patches a lot.
Really?
I had a lot of eye injuries, to the point where like my father went out and got me glasses with just glass in them to like wear as protection.
Really?
So I spent a lot of time like in the dark with eye patches and eye injuries.
Could it also be unintentional, that you saw yourself as a renegade, a pirate, or that you were capable of a lot of invention of characters, interesting characters that perhaps strong characters that influenced you and maybe even raised you up in the times when you felt alone?
Yeah, I was always like a character creator as a child.
You have a lot of other skills besides being a photographer in the arts. You're a sculptor, you make all your sets. Are you influenced by music?
I love music.
And painting and drawing and all of the above?
So much, yeah, so much so. When I was in school for photography, there was a lot of talk about like, who's your favorite photographer? And I don't look at a lot of photographer. I do more so now, but growing up, it was just that, I think that was the tool that was handed to me, so it's what I used. But I've always loved painting, and I've always loved looking at drawings.
Did you have teachers that influenced you as a child? Because I think those had to be key in just child psychology. Those that have complicated lives, it's really the surroundings and the people that influence you that I think give you a chance at finding success. Was there anyone there for you?
I had a really great, I don't think it was artistic, but I had a really great social worker when I was in high school
Yeah.
who was like the first person to ever listen to me.
Uh-huh.
And that was a really like safe space for me to like work through a lot of the things I was working through. That was very close to when I started seriously pursuing art too. So maybe there is a connection to that.
So do you think as a child you would describe yourself as an introvert?
I don't know if it would be by choice, but I think that is what happened. I was very fearful as a kid. I was really anxious, and there was a lot of fear that was instilled in me. So I wasn't really going out and doing anything. So I think the camera always felt like a safe
distance
barrier between me and the world. So it's like I could experience being with people without actually having to be with people.
And then something happened, you know, this resilience that you found in your life. I don't see you as an introvert at all.
No.
You know, that one image of you, it could be a lot of things that you're doing. You're either screaming out warning, you're singing at the top of your lungs. To me, that's a very outgoing person. That's how I've always thought of you in my short time knowing you. You went to New England School of Photography?
I did.
Did you go to other art schools prior to that?
Never. I never enrolled anywhere, but I've taken handfuls of classes through. Like I took a class at Diablo glass blowing. I took like some drawing at Mass Art, and just kind of like went around and tried things. Yeah.
I like that. Personally, I always think of myself as a jack of all trades, master of nothing.
But better than a master of one.
That's right, absolutely. It's flexibility,
Yes.
resilience, doing what you want to do. Now, you've also, you do a lot of filmmaking. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I had always wanted to make films, but they're so collaborative, and I was working alone for so long, and I kind of had forgotten that it was something that I wanted to do, and I had a few people come into my life who like wanted to pull me onto their teams, so I kind of worked in the background on their stuff, and then I was like, oh, this is so possible. I could do this too. This is so great. So I've written 2 short films. I wrote and directed 2 short films. One is You Don't Have to Take Orders from the Moon.
Is that out?
That is out. That's on YouTube and on my website. It's a fun horror movie about codependency. And then back in April, we filmed Trauma Bond, which is my second short film, and that is not out. We're very much editing.
Can you give people an idea of what codependency means to you?
Oh, it's been so hard to figure out codependency. Codependency for me is putting others' needs ahead of yourself all the time. So not just in times where like they're in crisis or they need something. I used to think of myself as I was really selfless because I'm always willing to put things down for other people. And when I got older, I realized there wasn't any me left. It felt like, you know, because it had been all given to other people. So that kind of boundaryless love that ends up being really toxic.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Takes one to know one.
There's a lot of us.
There is.
You feel very alone in it when it's happening, and then you kind of, as you're moving out of it, you look around and you're like, oh, there are lots of us here.
Yeah. And how has the arts helped with that for you?
Oh, it's been a big source of connection for me. I think it's so easy to fall into codependency when you don't have the chance to, or you don't know how to form like real connections with people, which was, I think, my case for a long time. But when I was able to connect with people on a level that was something we were both passionate about, and then it wasn't about me or like my trauma or their anything they were going through. You're able to kind of build this healthy relationship between the two of you, and I was like, oh, this is great. I've always wanted this.
In the images that are in exhibition here at the gallery at Wincam, I find that, and it could be what I was drawn to, not just that this was your intent, but each of those images are full of expression, and it goes the gamut. There's there's the photographs that imply a need for solace. There are those that just are so full of enthusiasm and awe of living. You incorporate the natural world a lot, like the ocean, botanicals, and even botanicals on the eyes, which, I don't know, I used to, as a child, put cucumbers on my eyes because I heard they were soothing. But I thought of that when I saw your image. And I thought, well, I don't think it's cosmetic. I think it's to soothe the soul, relaxing. Are there images that we're showing here that are your favorites? I may not have chosen your favorites because, I come from a different place.
Right.
But you must have some ideas.
Oh, the fireworks one
Yeah.
is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It's just a feeling that I have had and continue to have.
Yeah.
That it's so nice to get it out and put it somewhere. That one's wonderful.
How did you do that shot?
We went to the fireworks.
You did?
Yeah, those was taken at just town fireworks.
Yeah.
With lights.
Wow.
May have ruined the fireworks for other people, but no one said anything. So hopefully they thought it was
cool,
added to the experience.
Yeah. So cool. So now you have a studio, or perhaps I'm not understanding what it is, the effort that you're doing, but it seems like a space that you want people to come to and engage in. Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah. When the pandemic started, I incorporated my first LLC, which is Finding Bright Productions. We incorporated in February, and
Finding Bright.
Finding Bright, yeah. So kind of had other plans for it. Kind of had a lot of time over the pandemic to think, and so we're a set design company that builds sets for music videos and short films and visual podcasts and things like that. And we're based in Lowell, but I'm also really passionate just about community and learning in unconventional ways and bringing people together. So we've started hosting monthly events where we partner with different organizations and either have networking spaces or we show videos, or I just think it's great the Boston art scene is so big but feels so disjointed. People are in it and they don't even know they're in it. They're searching and I'm like, no, you found it. You're here.
Right.
There's all these little bubbles that are disconnected. So hoping to be one of the bubbles that brings people together.
So it's almost like you bring an experience to an institution so that they're not alone and they're not knowing what to do or how to do.
Yes.
I love that idea.
Yeah, I felt so alone for so long. Even when I started making work, I didn't really have I didn't have anyone to teach me how to build sets. I didn't have anyone to teach me how to market my work or any. I learned some stuff at NISAP, but when I started expanding, it was what I was doing. It was after that, and so I just think making yourself available to other people is great.
Can you make a living at what you're doing?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of money in the arts.
Yeah. If you have a good plan.
Yeah.
So you do commercial work as well? That's the bread and butter.
Yes.
Do you sell your work?
I do.
Your fine art work?
I do.
Or do you consider it fine
art
work?
I do, yeah. I do. Yeah, it's for sale. I love that.
And what you're thinking about being represented by a gallery, is that something you look for, or is that even not necessary in that you're a lone wolf? You like finding your own way?
I wouldn't mind it. I think I love making connections and building on things, but I'm also very happy to just kind of cut through the brush and see where I end up. Yeah.
The space that you have, you rent that? Is it a big space?
We have two spaces. One is our studio, which is about 500 square feet, and then we have a workshop down the hall. It's 200 or 300 square feet.
Wow.
Yeah, we're at Western Ave.
Oh, you are?
Arts in Lowell, which is great.
That's work only? Or can you live there?
They have a space that's lofts, but we're in the work only place. I could never live where I'm working. Too messy for me.
Oh, I know. It'd be distracted. Yeah. So then you must have a fixed rate as far as renting that monthly. Yeah. Because commercial space is so expensive.
I know. we're lucky.
Yeah. I have a studio in Somerville, and it just keeps going up and up and up.
Somerville's tough. I
It
had a
is.
studio in Somerville too, and it was
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. So I know you spoken earlier that, when you go to school, they want to know who your muses are. But have you kept any muses that keep you going to find inspiration? It doesn't even have to be photographers. It's, I don't know, someone like, if I were to think of who you might have as a muse, would be somebody who's boisterous like you, like Bette Midler. I don't know.
Into that Bette Midler.
The kind of person that says what she feels when she feels like it.
I don't know. It's so funny because I was kept from pop culture for so long as a kid. Like, so it was like, no TV, we don't watch TV.
No TV.
Yeah, I know. I think I watched a little bit like PBS Kids and stuff like that. So I always feel like I'm under a rock with celebrities, but I absolutely love David Lynch's work.
Oh.
I think he's not very boisterous. He's very quiet, but he is not afraid to be his like weird self.
Yeah.
He like really doesn't care if people like get him or like he's like, I am just like following the call of the muse, and you can come with me or you can stay there. I don't really care.
Yeah, the wry message.
Yeah.
And the log lady.
Yeah, I love Twin Peaks.
Yeah, me too. Well, is there something you would like to talk about for our audience that I haven't said or asked a question on? What's next?
What's next for me? I just wrote the first draft of my first feature film. I'm not really sure where to go from here. I guess more drafts.
Yeah. Now, what does that mean, feature film?
A full-length film.
Full-length film.
Yeah.
And how do you get it further than YouTube? I think you need to move to Hollywood.
I know. I don't want to, though. I think it's a lot about getting a good marketing plan, and you want to get a distribution deal. So you want to get into a good festival, and then you want to get bought by, I guess streaming companies are really big right now. So there was a filmmaker a Boston filmmaker, who was speaking last night at the Women in Film Video annual meeting, who wrote and directed Coda, got into Sundance and got bought by Apple Play.
Really?
Which is really exciting for her.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet because I don't have Apple,
Yeah.
but I would love to.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the dream, to get some type of deal like that and make the money back that you put into your
Are
work.
the small film festivals, are there any local?
There's a lot of local film festivals here. Boston has like 15 or 20, I think, or Massachusetts does at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know in Winchester there's a number of people that are involved in film. So if you're watching this and see this young artist and know something that you can do to help her, please get in touch with her.
Let's take the next step.
Take the next step. What's next? Well, I'd predict you're young, you have a lot of life in you, and I think you're going to go far. You're going to be a star. You are a star in my eyes anyway. But you have that drive to succeed and a love of what I see as a love of life.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing myself and the Griffin Museum to host your work here at WinCam. I'm sure that they are enjoying it as well.
Oh, it's an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, everybody, for this edition of Optics, the featured artist in the Griffin Gallery at WinCam. The Infinite Mirage of Rapture by this photographer, Jaina Cipriano, will be on display here in the gallery from now until January 31st, 2022. Do you believe it? And it's free and it's open to the public during WinCam's regular hours of operation. For more information on the Griffin Gallery at WinCam and other programs offered at either the Griffin or at WinCam, please feel free to call the Griffin for information on the Griffin and WinCam for information on WinCam, or email us at the museum at any time. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a pleasure. And thank you so much, Jaina.
Thank you.